Is it possible to love someone without knowing them? By sight? How can I describe what happened to me without the word love? I stood in that gallery and felt not only sexual attraction, which I was aware of dimly as background noise, but what I can only describe as grave and troubling pity. By this, I don't mean that I felt myself to be above him. For almost our entire life together, I would consider Ciaran to be better than me in both essential and superficial ways. By pity, what I mean is that just by looking at him, I felt an acute tenderness for his condition, his being human. In that moment, the basic affection and sorrow I feel for any human person was intensified to such a degree I could not breathe. Even now, even after all that took place between us, I still can feel how moved I am by him. Ciaran was not the first beautiful man I slept with, or the first man I had obsessive feelings for, but he was the first man I worshipped. His body would become a site of prayer for me, a place where I could forget about my own living flesh and be only with his. It was a thing of total pleasure, total beauty. Do you think I am unaware of calling his body a place, a thing? Do you think I'm unaware of what it is to be a woman speaking this way about a man's body? What do I know about the body of a man? And can any single one of them deserve or need a moment more of praise? What must it feel like to be beautiful, but also invisible whenever you choose to be? To be a beautiful man. 3. Ciaran caught my eye, smiled slightly and widened his, in remembrance, I hoped, of our prior meeting. I walked towards him, and he broke off from his conversation and turned to me. "Ah, it's you," he said, as though we had arranged to meet each other. "The very same," I said stupidly, and flushed with shame as I heard my voice as though from outside my head. It sounded very Irish and thick with forced joviality. Ciaran had an accent I couldn't place. "What's your name?" I asked. "Ciaran," he said, and then, as though having read my mind, "Though it's only my father who's Irish, I'm Danish." I met his eyes then, and my shame was overcome by the pleasure I could feel between us. We smiled at each other shyly. "What do you make of the show?" "Oh, well," I said, trying to answer as quickly and glibly as possible. "It's just a bunch of things in a certain room, isn't it? Doesn't mean much to me. I come for the drinks." He ignored the last part of what I had said, which was intended to lead us out of where we were to some place more comfortable for me. "Isn't it our job to try to understand why these objects in this particular room?" he asked. I scanned his question for mockery, but he seemed to mean it innocently. "It's just that with art I never feel on a sure footing. With other things I have some knowledge I can discuss them in terms of. With this sort of thing I could say anything at all about it. I have no frame of reference." He smiled at me again. There was something definitely sexual, almost gloating in his eyes now. "Well, that's just what I've always liked most about art." "Shall we get a drink?" I asked. "I'm leaving and they're out anyway. Here, have mine." And he handed me his nearly full beer and picked up his bag. "Would you like to come for a walk with me tomorrow?" Taking my dopey gaze as agreement, he wrote his phone number on a napkin and gave it to me. "Good," he said, and was gone. 4. At that time, I lived in a bedsit in Ranelagh on street level, where I left the window open at night so I could climb back in if I had lost my house keys, which I often had. The first night I moved in, I sat in my bed after unpacking and looked around at the ephemera and trinkets. They were drawings and notes from old lovers and friends, postcards, photographs, porcelain figures, antique ashtrays.